Boys and girls, as you'll know, I don't know why I clapped as I said boys and girls, headphone users, I apologise. You'll know from yesterday's video that this one has been suffering a little bit with some back pain recently, so we haven't got a full all-action vlog for you today because you're not really capable of any action currently, are you? Although we've got action tomorrow, we've got shenanigans coming up very soon.
I'm going to be pain relieved and hot. One of them things, packs.
Yeah.
Spanks, just hold everything together.
So for today, we're doing something we haven't done on the channel for actually much longer than I thought. This was long overdue, a Q&A video. I know we do some of the live streams every now and again, but I know a lot of you don't get to watch the live streams because you have to go and hunt for them as unlisted videos or be there live. And I don't think we've actually done a proper Q&A video that we've both been in this year. So it's been a while. As ever, I put a request out onto the channel community page asking for questions and asking for you to upvote the questions that you most wanted to see answered. I've gone through that this morning and picked out the most popular questions as voted for by you. I've removed any duplicates because there's no point us answering very similar questions more than once, but we'll go through the most popular questions. If you don't get your question answered this time, just keep an eye on the community page for the next time we do a Q&A, and the best way to do that is make sure you subscribe to the channel.
Because you talk a lot, don't you?
I'm just letting... What am I supposed to do in a video? Should we just sit here like this?
Yeah, but you don't give me a moment to process everything you're saying.
I wasn't talking to you. I was talking to them. Shall we get into some questions?
If my face was weird a minute ago, it was because this dog was doing some peculiar things over there.
This dog? Does he not have a name?
No. Peculiar dog doing...
I see.
Dog.
So, question one, I have already given you a sneak preview of when it came in yesterday. This one is, how do you think Andy will react when he sees the Pac-Man 2p machine at Lucky Strike in Skegness has gone and been replaced with more slot machines? So, for those of you who have no idea the context of that question, one of Andy's favourite things to do, although we've not done it since pre-COVID, one of his favourite things to do is to go to Skegness. He's 2 floors away from us. Go to Skegness, stand ankle high in the sea for about 20 minutes, and then go into the Lucky Strike arcade. It has to be the Lucky Strike arcade to play on the 2p machines that are at the back. It has to be those 2p machines, and then he will sit there for hours. There are vlogs on the channel from previous type visits.
Yeah, I'll give him a tenner.
Yeah, and he'll just make it last. I mean, there's been stuff where me and Amy have gone off exploring the other 3 floors of the arcade. I've gone off down the road, walking around Skegness. Genuinely, he'll sit there for hours. He loves it.
It's so boring.
Yeah. There's no phone signal in there either. So Anna's sat there with no phone signal. And I wander back and check on her every now and again.
And then you take over on the other side.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I wander back every now and again to check she's okay, doesn't need the toilet or a drink or anything, because she's got no way of telling me. But yeah, it's boring for everyone but Andy, who loves it. To answer the question, how do we think he's going to react? I think that's probably Skegness ruined for him. I think when he remembers it exists, because he hasn't asked for a long time, but when he does ask to go to Skegness, it will just be a bee in his bonnet that will be there until we go. So at some point, we are going to have to go. Thank you for letting us know that that's not there anymore.
Oh yeah, we'd have a nightmare. We'd have a breakdown. Because
now, as soon as he asks, we can answer with no 2Ps in Lucky Strike, no Lucky Strike, however we want to word it, so that he's prepared for it. But what will happen is, we'll go there, he'll have to go and check. He'll see they're not there, but we'll have prepped him in advance, and then he'll probably just want to come home.
We'll find something else. They've got to be in there somewhere, because they were not old machines.
But those ones were his favourites, weren't they? He loved them.
Really?
But yeah, he probably won't be best pleased about it, but now we know we can prepare him for it, and it shouldn't be too much of a disaster. So if anyone knows of other stuff that Andy loves, like if Grantham Church ever shuts its doors and we don't know about it, stuff like that, let us know. Stuff like that, really helpful. Thank you.
Church will shut down.
No. Right, next question. This is a long one. Why have I selected this? It must be good because it's wordy. Are you and Anna planning to move from your current address to somewhere different, even if it means leaving Andy behind at his new place? Anna, are you looking forward to it? Right, there's lots of other questions part of it. I think the bit that interests me is, are we looking to move away?
No.
No, we're not. We've talked about this a little bit on live streams. This house is... we signed a 2-year lease when we moved in here. This house, unless we're asked to leave, is almost certainly going to be the last house that Andy lives in with us. our long-term plans are to buy somewhere where we're going to settle down and like make it our forever home, that kind of stuff. But
I just want to roll my eyes.
I know, but it's language people understand. But there's no plans to do that while the kids are still with us. So it's not just Andy. Obviously, Lucy doesn't come to stay with us anymore, but Amy does still come and stay regularly. She's still got a bedroom.
When we get
Andy still has a bedroom.
forever house, we won't move away.
Oh no, we won't be miles away. We won't necessarily be next door, but we won't be miles and miles away where we can't go and visit. But we're likely to stay here until we don't need to have kids' bedrooms, because we
need one for this one.
Yeah, well, it just gives us a little bit more flexibility. We both work from home now. Whether that will continue forever, who knows? But at the moment, our current situation, we both work from home, so it would be nice for us both to have an office, so that we don't have to take over the living room. You have a living room. We can then put like sofa beds at the back of those offices, so that when the kids do come and stay, they've got somewhere to sleep, but they don't need to have dedicated bedrooms. So I think this is the last family home that we're going to have, and then when we do buy somewhere, it'll be
a bungalow. Oh, I'd love a bungalow.
I mean, bungalows are usually old. You don't get new shiny bungalows, do you?
I just don't want stairs anymore.
You are so lazy.
I hate stairs. There's so many stairs here.
But yeah, we're not going to dump Andy in a whatever they're called, an assisted living place, and then go and live in Tokyo. As much as I would like to go and live in Tokyo.
I know you would.
We'll travel, but our base will be relatively close to wherever he is, so that we can make sure that, I mean, she's going to want to visit every day. I'm going to have to convince her that's a terrible idea.
I love him.
Yes, but you don't need to visit him every day. We'll wean you down to more reasonable visits, because the whole point...
Every other day.
Because the whole point of him going to some kind of assisted living place when he's old enough to do it is to allow him to be independent, so when the time comes where we die, it doesn't ruin his life because he doesn't know how to cope without us. That's the idea, isn't it? So we don't want him to rely on you coming and visiting every day and making his lunch and cleaning his toilet and whatever else. He needs to learn to live independently of you, and then when we visit, we're visiting him. We're not going there as his carers. Have you and Anna applied for power of attorney for Andy's health and finances?
Yes.
We have applied for power of attorney, have we? Because I know you're his nominee. Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
So, but you have officially applied for power of attorney.
I believe so. As far as I'm...
Because I don't know that you have.
When we had our old... Yeah, because that's why I had to do PIP.
But I think you just had to be his nominee for that. I think power of attorney is a whole legal thing, and I imagine you'd have included me in a legal thing. But at the moment, we're kind of following the guidance of the social worker, who has... Certainly you're set up as his nominee so you can make medical decisions for him.
Oh, God, yeah.
Financially, no, not yet. Although, again, as part of the PIP application, you're on there as his representative. We're legally not power of attorney. We haven't applied for power of attorney. I guess it's something we'll have to do at some point. But at the moment, like I say, we're just being guided by what the social worker tells us we need to do as and when we need to. And I think there's an order to do things in at the moment while Andy's living here with us.
Well, he's a child, isn't he?
Yeah, he's still a child. He's living here with us. Anna has the decision-making power for both his health and his PIP. He doesn't have any other money. So power of attorney, there's not really anything that would cover outside of that stuff yet. Obviously, when the time comes where he's not living with us and his money is going into his bank account and paying his bills, then it becomes a little bit different, and we'll probably need power of attorney then, so that you can, so that we can ring his internet provider and and stuff like that. That's not going to be covered by what we've got at the moment. But at the moment, I think we're good. I think.
I don't know. It's not something we've ever come across to.
Does Andy understand that he has autism and that he's different from other kids, and does it affect him? I'm waiting for Anna to answer, because people always say, you talk over Anna, you don't let her answer the questions. I don't think he knows. I think if you asked him, he wouldn't understand the question.
To him?
Yeah, but I've never heard him say, I am autistic.
Oh, he has no idea.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Well, that's what they're asking. Does he know he's autistic?
No.
I don't think he does.
No.
And I don't think he knows what that means, and I don't think he cares, and I think he's perfectly happy with that situation. Next question. What is Andy's diet like at the moment?
Fish fingers. Yorkshire pudding.
I think it's exactly the same as the last time we talked about it. It hasn't changed for a long time now, has it?
No, we haven't really been anywhere.
Breakfast is the same every day.
6 slices of toast.
Lunch is the same every day.
fish fingers and waffles.
4 fish fingers, 2
Yeah.
waffles, and then dinner is the same every day.
With Yorkshire puddings.
Yeah, so he has the same as lunch, but adds 4 Yorkshire puddings to it. He has 2 separate portions. So on his plate at lunch, it'll be 2 fish fingers, 1 waffle. Then he'll say more, and we'll give him 2 fish fingers and 1 waffle. And then in the evening, he just has a couple of Yorkshire puddings added to that as well.
But he's snacking.
Yeah, it has to be bird's eye waffles.
Oh,
it has to be bird's eye fish fingers.
He knows.
It has to be Tesco frozen Yorkshire puddings. He won't eat my homemade ones. It has to be Warburton's white toast, not too toasted. No. Has to be quite generous with the butter.
Yeah.
He's still eating crisps as snacks throughout the day, salt and vinegar Walker's crisps.
Breakaways.
Yeah, he eats them. He'll sometimes have seeded burger buns.
Oh, yeah, I like them.
He'll still eat a very occasional one at McDonald's. I can't remember the last time we took him to McDonald's.
The other day. We literally sat in it.
Oh yeah, before we went to McDonald's like last week sometime, but I think that previous to that, it's been months. He doesn't have McDonald's very often anymore. That used to be a thing that we'd do as a convenience thing once a week on the way home from work, because we'd drive past it.
Every day.
The fact he doesn't, I mean, we still drive past a McDonald's on the way home from school every day, but he knows he doesn't get it then. So
Because it's a faff going all the way around.
yeah, exactly. Drinks wise, he has a can of Dr Pepper with breakfast. He has a can of Diet Coke or Pepsi Max or something like that with his dinner. The rest of the time he's drinking water. He gets through probably 1 2-litre bottle of water every day. That boy drinks water. But yeah, it's been like that for a long time. Although he is going off waffles. He's not finishing his waffles anymore. So we think potato waffles might be coming to the end of their run.
Well, the other day, he didn't eat his dinner at all, did he?
No.
Just went no.
But that's because he came down at 4:30, ate an entire multi-bag of crisps, but then still asked for dinner at 5 because that's when he has dinner.
Yeah.
And he, believe it or not, wasn't hungry. But there's no, if he decides he wants crisps at 4:30, there's no telling him no, because he'll just
Yeah.
want
Like, he
them.
has a concept of time, but not how long.
Yeah.
Like half
I'm
an hour
hungry
is.
now, and I'll
Yeah.
still have dinner at 5. But then I won't eat it because I won't be hungry. How are you preparing Andy for the new school year and him getting his new transport?
We don't know anything.
Yeah, until we know what his new transport is, we can't do any of that preparation. He's had stuff sent home from schools where he knows what class he's in next year, he knows what teacher he's got. It's the same teacher, same class, there's 1 extra person being added to the class. He knows who they are, we've got a picture of them. He knows where he's going to be, when he's going to be there. So in school, everything is taken care of. But transport, we've just had a nightmare with all the way through. He's been at that school since April now, and we've never had... Is it May? It's been a while. He's been there a while, and we've not had any kind of transport set up at any point. They have told us he'll have transport ready for September, and they will contact us at some point in August to tell us how it will work. So at the moment, we don't know whether it's... presumably it's going to be with other kids. I don't think he's going to have individual transport. So we'll start him off on a bus and see how he gets on, but we don't know what time it will be or anything like that. What we do know is he's going to be doing full school days from September because of the transport. At the moment, he starts at 9:15, so he doesn't have to sit in queue in the car park with us.
I shouldn't laugh,
and then ends
but
at
still.
2:15. So he's on slightly shortened days so that he doesn't have to hang around in the car for ages. But with it being the school bus, he's going to have to be there for 9 and leave at 3. So I guess it's about 20 minutes away to his school, 15, 20 minutes. So depending on where he is on the stops, he's probably going to be picked up somewhere around 20 past, 8, my guess would be, and come back sometime between 3:30 and 4 o'clock. But we can't give him any detail yet because we don't know the detail. And the longer it goes, the harder it's going to be to prepare him for it. But me taking him to and from school every day once we hit September is not really an option anyway, because once we hit September, we start to have things where I'm going to not be here all the time. Different events and things like that. You've got EGX is back, Comic-Con is
I'm
back.
going to that.
Yeah, so he's going to need to be on the bus because we're not going to be here to take him to and from school.
Okay.
There's other bits and pieces that I'm going to be down in London again. I think my regular travels to London are going to be starting back up again after... All right.
You're picking at your skin.
My regular trips to London are going to be starting back up again from September-ish. So I've told him he must have transport by then, because otherwise there's no way of getting him there on those days when I'm not around.
And then we'll get a fine.
Well, we won't, 'cause it's their fault. I'd like to see them try. What happened to Fit by 40? You suddenly stopped talking about it. Have you given up? I have not given up. I just stopped putting it on TikTok because no one was watching it. I will still be Fit by 40. You'll see me in this vlog every day in August. There will be gym trips and salads. It's going to be lovely. Will you come back to Dorset like Poole, not Bournemouth? I'm taking this, I'm rephrasing this as, are we going to be going on holiday anywhere? And the answer is no. And it's because of that creature. Because, as you'll know, it took us ages to get his hair cut after we moved. It's taking just as long to get a vet's appointment so that he can have his booster vaccinations. In fact, it's taken so long he can no longer have a booster vaccination. He needs to start the vaccinations again. There were no vets local to us that were taking on new non-emergency clients during lockdown. So, and I rang around, and I hate ringing, but I was ringing around vets and they were all saying there's nothing we can do until, what was it, the 19th of July, whenever it was that things opened up again. They were all, contact us after that, and then you can join the waiting list. So, as of the 19th of July, he is now on a waiting list for a non-emergency vet's appointment, but they've warned us, because obviously so many people were waiting for that, there's a 4 to 6 week wait for that. So that takes us potentially all the way through to the end of August. He then has his first injection and then a second one a couple of weeks later, and it takes a couple of weeks after that for him to be fully vaccinated. So we're then at the end of September, so we can't put him in kennels until the end of September, potentially, at the earliest, and by then Andy's back at school. And
we have October half term.
We don't really, though, because Football Manager comes out around then. So going on holiday, you can sigh all you want, but if I'm not here for Football Manager launch, we'll be homeless by February. That's when I make the bulk of my money for the year. So an October holiday is not an option.
Me and Andy can go on holiday.
I'd like to see how you're going to get there.
Train.
I would like to see how you'll get to the station.
Walk. It's only over there, isn't it?
No, there's no station anywhere near us.
We go past where the giraffe is.
Nope, that's been closed for years. But yeah, so realistically, we're looking at May next year as a potential holiday. Depending on how the world is looking then, we might do something in the UK. We might go to Disneyland Paris. We might even go to Florida because we've got, like, by then we'll have 3 years worth of holiday money set to one side, which should be enough to pay for a Florida trip. Every time we do Disneyland Paris, I say every time, we've only done it as a family once, but that costs like $3.5 grand all in. So that's what we put aside to go last year. That's what we put aside to go this year. And obviously we've not been able to go either of those years. And then add next year's money in as well, and you're looking at like a £10,000 pot. And the last time I priced up Florida, it was going to be about £10,000.
Is that 5 of us or 4?
For the 5 of us for 2 weeks. So Lucy might not be able to go, so it might just be 4 of us. Amy, I don't know, I mean, she might not be able to go depending on when we go because of GCSEs and stuff. We'd probably have to do it in the summer if we do that rather than May, because we have to wait until our GCSEs were done. Maybe that window after
May,
GCSEs finishing before summer holidays start,
like June,
pull Andy out of school, and go then. So we might be doing Disneyland Paris in May for a week. We might do Florida for a couple of weeks, like late June, early July. Or we might not be able to travel again, in which case, who knows where we'll go. But if we do head back down to Dorset, we'll almost certainly do Bournemouth and New Forest area, because that's the area I used to go to every year when I grew up. I rarely went to Poole. Poole's not as fun as Bournemouth. And plus, if you're in Poole, it's like 20 minutes from Bournemouth. So if we're in Bournemouth and you want to see us, come over from Poole. It's easier than us going to Poole. Have you tried Coke Zero? I know you should drink Diet Coke. Yes, Coke Zero's fine. But it's not as nice as Diet Coke. I always drank Coke Zero. The point of Coke Zero is to taste like normal Coke, but be sugar-free. Now, I've always preferred the taste of Diet Coke rather than normal Coke. That's why I drink Diet Coke, because let's face it, going to McDonald's and getting a large Big Mac meal with a Diet Coke is not a health choice. I prefer the taste of Diet Coke. So yeah, I'll always choose Diet Coke. It is the king of the cola beverages. It's not quite up there with Dr Pepper Zero, but it is the king of the cola beverages. Where do you see yourself 10 years from now? And I'm not asking you this one, because I've answered this a gazillion times.
No idea.
You got to have a rough idea. So
really.
you'll be, what, nearly 50? Andy will be 27 and definitely living on his own, fully independent by then.
No.
Of course he will. At 27 he will, that's for sure. What are you going to be doing?
I don't know.
She needs to plan. She needs to plan for the future. I'd like to think I'm still doing some kind of content creation, whether that's still YouTube or has evolved into maybe writing, as I'll be an old man then. If I get too old for YouTube, I'll just start writing again. I'd like to think in 10 years we're at the point where... Can I help you, Dave? I'd like to think in 10 years we'll have saved up enough money from all this YouTube nonsense that work becomes a little bit more of an option rather than a have to work 18 hours a day or we'll be skint. Because we try to be sensible with our money. We save a lot of what we earn every month. Roughly half of what we earn every month goes into savings and investments. So I'd like to think within 10 years we'll be at the point where we own that house we were talking about before. We can scale back on the quantity of work that we're doing. And hopefully I'm doing a little bit more writing. I've got novels in me. I've got stuff I want to be writing, and I think probably as and when this YouTube bubble bursts and we have to slam back to reality, I hope I'm in a position to be able to just transition straight into that because of good decisions we're making now, rather than me having to go back into the daily slog of teaching or something like that.
Said you wanted
that's
to
the
teach.
plan. I wouldn't want to go back to teaching full time in a secondary school. I think
No,
I
it's a
could,
lecture.
I could see myself as a part-time lecturer at a university when this whole thing that we're doing now starts to drift towards an end. I think I could make a valuable contribution to like a media marketing kind of thing. I think I'm done with computer science because I haven't worked in it for a long time, but I think I'd have a lot to offer to people wanting to learn about social media and advertising and all these things that I work in now. So who knows? Who knows what we'll be doing? We'll just, hopefully, Dave will still be there. Because Anna keeps telling me dogs die, and I don't believe they do. Because look how young he looks now. You wouldn't believe he's, what is he, 9?
Looks like a cat.
Yeah, he looks like a little puppy cat. And then last question, this one's specifically for you, Anna. Who's your current wrestler right now? Your favourite current wrestler?
I don't.
Yeah,
These
have one?
all are for you, really, aren't they?
No, there's loads of them that were, a lot of them were about Andy. You don't have a favourite current wrestler?
I don't watch wrestling.
That's a shame. Guess we'll never know then. And that's your lot for your Q&A, boys and girls. We've gone a little bit longer than I... The Rock.
Yeah.
Is your favourite current wrestler?
Yeah.
Nice. We'll try and do
Steve
these...
Austin.
Again, not a current wrestler. You're naming two people from the 90s. We will try and do these a little bit more often going forward so we don't have to do 25-minute mega episodes every time they come up. There were a lot of questions that we haven't got round to as well. So we'll probably try and make this like maybe a monthly thing. We'll do a Q&A and try not to repeat the questions between them as well. But fingers crossed you enjoyed that. Thank you to everyone who did submit questions. And we will see you again very, very soon.